Rycroft. We'll hear from our dignitaries in attendance, and after that there'll be time for a photo op. If you'd like some one-on-ones afterwards, just please see me and we'll arrange that as well. For the guests in attendance following the speeches, there's going to be a reception upstairs in the Canada Room. And without further ado, I'll ask our Chief Executive Officer of Ontario Soccer, Johnny Misley, to join me now for his opening remarks.
Thank you, Ben. Good afternoon. You can smell soccer is in the air. The outdoor season soon to start. You can smell the grass outside, and we're looking forward to it. Thank you, everybody, for attending this great announcement here this afternoon here at the lovely Ontario Soccer Centre, which just celebrated its 20th anniversary recently in November. Also, honoured guests that are here, Minister Del Duca, and of course, 9 of our tremendous match officials from various parts of the GTA. It's fantastic to be here. You're going to love the news that's coming forward momentarily. And no, Nikki's not going anywhere. She's staying. You can relax on that one. I just wanted to provide some just opening remarks. Ontario Soccer is very proud to be sports leaders in this lovely province of Ontario and also throughout Canada in the development of the beautiful game. But more importantly, we're very proud of supporting and building healthy and active communities throughout Ontario. We are equally as proud to support the strategic initiatives that are outlined in our province's Game On strategy, and we strive to improve soccer in every corner of the province in line with the Game On strategy. Proud to announce that Ontario Soccer has received 2 Ontario Trillium grants from the Ontario Trillium Foundation. The first one is a grant that is going to be over 3 years, a sum of $294,500, which will assist in the further development of match officials through the newly created long-term match officials development program. With us today, as I mentioned, we have 9 match officials. They are representative of the 9,000 that we have throughout Ontario. Under the leadership of the Match Officials Development Committee, on which we have Richard and Nikki and Tony here as representatives. Please be acknowledged. Where are you? There they are right there. These 3 have worked very hard along with the Match Official Development Committee on the vision behind this, and we know that the long-term officials development program, now that it can move to new stages of development with this great funding, including funding by Ontario Soccer, we're able to make a huge impact in recruiting, retaining, and training match officials all throughout our system. And not only that, we get a chance as a sport to be innovative and have best practices that we can share with other sports, not only here in Ontario, but across Canada, as Ontario Soccer are known and respected as leaders of sport in general across the country. Also, a second grant of $150,000 that will be made available to us immediately is much needed, and it'll be for the replacement here at Ontario Soccer of our current HVAC system. And the timing couldn't be any better, and you'll hear a little bit more about that from Peter Araguso shortly. So with respect to overall these 2 impacts of the funding, it's very important for Ontario Soccer to receive, and the Ontario Soccer Centre to receive these 2 grants. They're going to help us in so many ways to keep this beautiful facility running and saving energy, but at the same time allowing us as office staff here to keep building and working with our volunteer system to impact positively such constituents as our match officials throughout Ontario. So to the Ontario Trillium Foundation and to Minister Del Duca, thank you very much for the province's support, and for those that worked hard behind the scenes in Ontario Soccer in putting this together, and those that were part of the review group at Ontario Trillium Foundation. At this time, I would like to introduce the Honourable Stephen Del Duca, MPP for Vaughan, and the Minister of Economic Development and Growth.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so very happy to be here with all of you today. I want to thank Johnny for his opening remarks and for sharing some of the great news that I'm also here to talk about. But can I also say, forget that I'm a minister, forget that I'm also the MPP for Vaughan. I'm also the father of 2 young children, 2 daughters who are 10 and 6. And the last time I was here in this building a number of months ago, both of them who have played and last year did play House League soccer here in Woodbridge, we were here for the photo day. Okay, and it took place right here in this general area. Can I just let you know, it is far calmer in this building than it was when there were several hundred 6-year-old, 10-year-olds, photographers, moms, dads here. But that was a great feeling that day. Tons of energy, of course, when that takes place. And great for me to be back here with all of you as well. Also, when I talk about my daughters, I like telling a quick story. If you have just a moment, it's a quick one, I promise. So my 6-year-old in particular, just the other day, asked me before I was going off to make a different announcement in a different part of Ontario. She said to me, "What are you going to be doing today, Daddy?" I said, "Well, among other things, meetings, have to go down to the legislature, question period. I'm also going to be delivering a speech a little bit later tonight." So she looked at me and she said, "Well, what's a speech? Like, what is a speech?" I said to her, "Well," her name was Grace. I said, "Well, Grace, a speech is kind of like that bedtime story that from time to time I'll read to you in the evenings, before you fall asleep." And she looked at me and she said, and I said, "Except it's for adults." And she said to me, "Well, when you're done giving your speech, do the adults fall asleep?" And I looked at her and I said, "Oh, sweetheart, sometimes they don't even wait that long." So you heard the really great news. We, on behalf of the Government of Ontario, I'm not going to go through all the details again, through something that's known as the Ontario Trillium Foundation. And just so everybody is aware, the Ontario Trillium Foundation is an agency of the Government of Ontario, and it helps, it is also one of the largest, what we call granting foundations, not just here in our province, but right across Canada. And it provides funding directly to nonprofit organizations and to the people on the ground that are doing such phenomenal work in all of our communities. Of course, one of the fundamental goals that we have through the work that's done at the Trillium Foundation is to make sure that our communities are more livable, more inclusive, and more vibrant. And so, as was mentioned, there are two specific grants that are being provided to support Ontario soccer through the Ontario Trillium Foundation, as was mentioned just a second ago. Combined $444,500 to support both the initiative, both through the Provincial Impact Grant for the development of your long-term match official development plan, as was just mentioned a second ago, and also the support to the tune of about $150,000 in capital funding for the new HVAC system, which I gather is particularly important timing. So I'm really happy to be here as the MPP for Vaughan and as a representative from the Government of Ontario to announce this Trillium support. But most importantly, I want to thank Ontario Soccer, whether we're talking about the great work that takes place in all of our leagues here in Woodbridge, here in Vaughan, or literally right across the province. I didn't realize this until I was looking at my notes earlier today. And I'm just going to glance down because I want to make sure I get this correct as I say it. I didn't know this, actually, and I feel almost embarrassed given that you're headquartered right here in my community, our community. It says in my notes that Ontario Soccer is the largest provincial sports organization in Canada, which is a phenomenal statistic, a phenomenal fact. That's something that you should all be so proud of, because at the end of the day, in our communities, be it here in Vaughan or right across this province, you are helping to make sure that our communities are more livable, that they're healthier, that the kids, the young adults, the mothers and fathers have that opportunity to band together and to support one another. And it's such an incredible thing to know that you're headquartered here in Woodbridge, here in Vaughan, and through the Trillium Foundation, our government is honored to provide this support to you. And I just want to say, as the local MPP, keep up the great work. It's so, so important in all of our communities. But I am a bit of a homer. Here in Woodbridge, here in Vaughan, we rely on you for the extraordinary work that you do. So keep it up. Congratulations. I'm glad you applied. I'm glad your application was successful. And I look forward a little bit later this year to being back here for photographs with my young daughters. Take care. Take care. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for the Right Honourable Minister. We'll now call on Ron Smale, President of Ontario Soccer, to give the perspective of the membership and what this will mean for Ontario Soccer.
Good afternoon, everyone, and on behalf of the Board of Directors, we welcome Minister Del Duca and our special guests, and certainly our match officials. Peter will talk a bit about the facility grant. I'm going to talk a little bit about LTOD. And as such, I just want to say, to get to this point, we are aligned. We're not only aligned with the province of Ontario and the Game On initiatives, but we're also aligned with the Trillium Foundation. The Trillium Foundation is all about creating healthy, vibrant communities. And what can we say more than our club system and our district system? which is embedded within those communities, doing wonderful work each and every day to not only promote the game of soccer, but more importantly, to support leadership skills amongst our youth and amongst all our community members. You know, when you look at the words play, inspire, unite, our LTDO grant is all about the third team on the field, on the pitch. We usually forget about our officials, or sometimes it's not so good material that we talk about with the officials. And so when I look at those words, play, inspire, unite, I think to myself of the match officials, having been one, so I got a little bit of passion, a little bit of history here, of how important this initiative was. And to get to this point took a tremendous amount of work. And it would be inappropriate for me not to acknowledge the staff work that was done to get us the application in, to supply the important information to support the initiative, and more importantly, to execute this initiative as we go forward in the next 3 years. So I wanted to acknowledge Nikki Pearson, our Manager of Match Official Development, her leadership team of Johnny and Gary looking after the technical department, Johnny looking after the business as a whole from a CEO perspective. For number one, following the strategic plan of the Board of Directors, which talked about growth of the game, talked about long player development, coaching development, and of course, match official development. And with the staff, of course, is a huge volunteer network. And volunteers are the very, very important part of the system that are there each and every day to support these initiatives. So we have our Match Official Development Committee, Nikki, and I want you to extend our thanks to them for their continued great work. We have our DRCs across the province, looking after all the initiatives that need to be done and how this program will be executed going forward. And then, of course, we have our individual match officials who are the ambassador of the game from a match official perspective. So it's really nice to see the yellow here today and see all these smiling faces as we take the game forward. You know, you talk about the word inspire. Inspire. There are match officials who have dreams, who have inspiration, who have aspiration to do the very best and be the very best they can be. And this program will align with a lot of our provincial programs and a lot of our provincial initiatives going forward. We have quite a few number of officials who've made it to the FIFA level, to the national level, to the international level, to the professional level. And this program will give youngsters who want to be match officials at the youngest ages an opportunity and, more importantly, a pathway going forward. And last but not least, I want to talk about Unite. This is a united family. We are united with our province. We are united with the Trillium Foundation. And this unity we need to carry forward. So to the match officials, this grant is just a wonderful grant. I know the Board of Directors is really pleased that this is another strategic initiative going forward. And we look for the execution of the plan over the next 3 years. And we look for the continued support of the province of Ontario for providing us with these additional resources to achieve the goals and objectives that we've set out for ourselves. Remember, play, inspire, unite. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. We'll now have Peter Agaruso, President of the Ontario Soccer Centre Board, to speak to this great facility. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you very much. We recently celebrated 20 years in this facility, and those units on the roof are 20 years old. I know I looked a little better when I was 20, but time to replace them. Now with this grant minister, we can guarantee a couple of things. We can guarantee quality officials, we can guarantee quality coaching, and now we can guarantee the weather. You know? Sorry, thanks. Almost 1 million people, 1 million visitors, many from the communities that you service, come through this facility every year. We make dreams in this facility for your children and for other children. And that's what this facility is all about. Until Ron talked about united, that's what we are. We're here to be united, to play and inspire our youth, our match officials, our coaches, and our players to have those dreams. And this is where the facility, where it starts. The units will not only replace the old units we have, but it'll save 40% on our carbon footprint. So we have more energy efficient units that will actually save us money in the long term. So we want to thank the province of Ontario, I thank them every day because I work for them. But I want to thank the province of Ontario for the Ontario Trillium Grant, for our officials, for the facility, and that's all I needed to say, I think, Ben. Thank you.
Thank you again to our speakers, guests, and media here in attendance today. We welcome you to join us upstairs in the Canada Room for a reception, food, and drink. And as the speakers have spoken here today, we encourage you to continue to play, inspire, and unite. Thank you very much.